I'm a bit late on this story, but better late than never. There was a document that was released by an FBI whistleblower in which a branch of the FBI out of Richmond, Virginia was essentially saying that, or was essentially identifying what they called radical traditionalist Catholics as being the home for white nationalists, and there being again amongst this crowd, the traditionalist Catholic crowd, which they define in various ways using questionable research, including from research from the SPLC, which the FBI supposedly rejects the SPLC as being non-credible. Basically, the SPLC says any group that's slightly to the right of of the center. So that's any group that's slightly conservative and organizes and wants to see a change in society is basically a dangerous hate group. I'm not even exaggerating by much, and that's why, generally speaking, the FBI supposedly what they say out of Quantico is that they don't trust the SPLC, but whoever put this report together, again, which was released to the public via a whistleblower. Otherwise, this wouldn't be known by anybody. This would just be a secret document circulating amongst the feds. They rely heavily on both the SPLC and online sites like Salon. So there's not really much balance. There's not really much credibility here, but that's not really so much the issue. The issue is the FBI are targeting this group of traditionalist Catholics, are radical traditionalist Catholics. And this one portion of the document reads, the RTCs are typically characterized by the rejection of the Second Vatican Council as a valid church council, disdain for most of the popes elected since Vatican II, skipping down a little bit, frequent adherence to anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant, anti-LGBTQ, and white supremacist ideology? What? Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't know. These people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Anyway, moving on. You go to a traditionalist mass, you're going to see people of different races there. Race is not an issue with these people. Radical traditionalist Catholics compose, but then who am I to say over our mighty and smart, assuredly big-brained FBI? They surely know better than I do. Radical traditionalist Catholics compose a small minority of overall Roman Catholic adherents and are separate and distinct from traditionalist Catholics. I guess that's a combination of radical and traditionalist, who prefer the traditional Latin Mass and pre-Vatican II teachings and traditions, but without the more extreme ideological beliefs and violent rhetoric. Where is the? I mean, citation, please. Where is the violent rhetoric that you that you're citing here? Okay, then they go on a little bit about when Vatican II happened. Yeah, we all know that. This is more of the document that was released by this whistleblower, and which has caused somewhat of a stir, but it needs to cause more of a stir, because this shows that if you are, again, if you are someone slightly to the right of center, and you have certain beliefs, then the FBI is after you. The FBI has become a ideologized, weaponized arm of the federal government. Not that hasn't always been that way. I believe. I have a very dim view of federal agencies. I'm sure good people work in them, but I'm not. I'm going to have a T-shirt that says "God hates feds," so that tells you how I feel about them. So these are actual agencies or entities of within conservative Catholicism that are cited in this document as being, I don't know, as having made a home for people of white nationalist leanings. And I don't know. This just sounds so out there. I mean, I don't know where. Again, there's no citations here, but anyway, moving on. So, Southern Poverty Law Center there you go. The good old SPLC, the thoroughly discredited SPLC. By the way, I was on their hate watch list, just as I was on the ADL's hate watch list. But I take that as I wear that as a badge of honor. Following are 9 RTC groups, Radical Traditionalist Catholic groups, operating in the United States in 2021. So this was put out a couple years ago. So they cite Catholic Apologetics International, Catholic Family News, Christ or Chaos, Culture Wars. That's those of you who don't know, you might not know Culture Wars, but Culture Wars is E. Michael Jones' piece. It's his periodical. The Fatima Crusader, International Fatima Rosary Crusade, in the spirit of Chartres Committee. I haven't heard of a lot of these. The Remnant and the Remnant Press, I know of them. Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and Tradition in Action. I haven't heard of all of these, but I've heard of some of them. And yes, they are traditionalist-leaning church bodies. But the idea that these are breeding grounds for violent rhetoric is, well, it's troubling. To me, it's quite troubling. And let me explain what I mean. So here's what I see might be in our future. This is sheer speculation. But when I see a document like this that is actively and avidly targeting people who are simply traditionalist Catholics who prefer the Latin Mass, they include Catholics who are in communion with the Church, and also some groups that are seen as schismatic, and some whose actual status within the Church is I don't know. You hear different things from different people, like the Society of St. Pius X is one such group. But I think elsewhere in this document, the FSSP, the Fraternity of Saint Peter, is also cited. So anyone who likes the Latin Mass, anyone who tends to be against birth control, who has favors the big family, comes to Latin Mass with their 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 kids, and, the ladies all wear veils. It's quite the aesthetic. It really is. I recommend it to those of you who are interested. It's not the church that I currently attend. I currently attend a Novus Ordo church, but not, and I do believe that the Novus Ordo Mass is valid. Not to get too in the weeds with, Catholic stuff. But I have a lot of respect for the traditional Latin Mass, and for those who favor it, and I think it's a very obviously reverential. Every time I've been to a traditional Latin Mass, it's I'm struck by the reverence that is on display. Whereas the Novus Ordo, it's sort of a little bit touch and go. Sometimes it can be performed reverently as well, but sometimes it's not. I think it sometimes can get lampooned by those who are traditionalist, but unfairly lampooned. But then again, sometimes there have been masses like with liturgical dancers and really, really bad music. I mean, awful music that makes you want to cover your ears. Just sappy, crappy music. That's a danger with the Novus Ordo. That doesn't seem to be the case with the Latin Mass. So, what is my concern here? You know what? Let me turn this. Let me look into my own face here as I say these words. In the rearview mirror, there I am. So here is my concern. It's not unusual if the FBI decides to, and one of the things that's recommended in this piece, this document that was released by this whistleblower, one of the things that was recommended was mitigation tactics. Mitigation tactics. What does that mean? It means infiltration. It means they send somebody into these or some people into these communities, and these people in these communities pretend to be of the same mindset as those who are as the regular congregants, and let's say they win over the trust of somebody. I mean, they've done this with Muslims. It's how groups like the FBI and others justify their continued existence. It's fairly routine. They'll go in and find somebody who's weak and vulnerable, and they'll say, hey brother, you know what? This modern secular world is so satanic and so demonic and so evil. I think we need to strike a blow. We need to strike a blow. We need to do something about it. Don't you think? And then they'll find somebody who's, again, maybe vulnerable, maybe not the brightest person in the world, but somebody who it's easy to plant ideas in his head, and he'll go along with. He'll say, yeah, you're right. Let's do something. And then a short time later, well, this is one scenario. A short time later, the FBI announces, we've foiled a plot out of such and such, radical traditionalist Catholic Church, out of wherever. They were going to do this, they were going to do that, they were going to take this violent action, and we stopped it from happening. So we're such heroes. So give us all of the plaudits that we deserve. No, you didn't stop anything. You went in there and instigated something, and then got somebody to go along with it, and then you pulled the rug out from under his feet and said, "Psych, we're not really fellow congregants. We're not really fellow believers. We're the FBI, and you get to go to prison now." So that's one thing that they'll do. And this, again, this is not unusual practice for the feds. But another thing that's even more disturbing as a possibility is a false flag. You know, they go in and they pretend to be a part of this community, and they work their way within the organization, win the trust of people within the organization, and then they go and I don't know, bomb a synagogue or something, bomb a federal building, whatever, and then they say it's this church body, this radical traditionalist Catholic church body is just filled to the brim with these extremist fanatics, these violent extremists, and it's in their rhetoric, and and so we've got to do something about it, and so this would be a way of furthering the whole domestic terrorism agenda, that the real terrorists are white men from the heartland. This sure would be a swell way of advancing that whole notion. So those are a couple of things that I see as possibilities, when I read this document. If you don't know by now that the feds are your enemy, I think you're just naive. If you think that the established authorities are there to protect you and to help you and to fight for law and order and justice and to protect the innocent, I'm sure there are people. Every organization has good and bad in it, and I'm sure there are people even in the feds, even amongst the feds, who think they're doing good, who want to be doing good. But when you see a document like this, and thank God it was released, thank God for the whistleblower, whoever he is, that opted to release this to the public. You see when they just throw together something like this and like say, yeah, the SPLC says so, and Salon says so, and some other useless left-wing rag says so. There's no balance. There's no well, we quote Salon, but then we also quote National Review. Not that I respect National Review, but just as a center-right organization, it's all very partisan. It shows the weaponization, the extreme to which the feds have been weaponized, and I think you would be naive. One would be naive to dismiss the notion that a false flag could be in the future. It sure would further their whole agenda of white men in the homeland who are conservative are bad. Homesteaders and conservative religious types who want to live off the grid and this, that, and the other thing. They're people we should be afraid of, and we should go after them because they really want to bomb us and wreak all kinds of havoc. So those are my thoughts on this just released document. what do y'all think? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.